Okay, guys. Anyway, in the last class, we spoke about aggregate planning. Under that, we have seen like short-term objectives of the aggregate planning. Now, in this class, I would like to continue and to talk on that objectives in long-term forecasting. What is the importance of to know or to study about objectives of long-term forecasting? As we know very well, every organization they will have their own limitations, targets, objectives. According to that, they will be working. Now, being a production department head, they will also have certain targets in short term and long term. When we talk in the point of the objectives, the aggregate planning will be thinking in the short run what they supposed to do. At the same time, in the long run also, how they need to perform, they will have a clear cut idea. When they are thinking about in the long term forecasting, they will observe why we need to do this forecast. Because of this forecasting in future, what kind of benefits we are going to get, that we need to be explained to each and every employee at the organization, so that they will be knowing that why this organization was established, what kind of work we are doing at the organization, to whom it is going to be benefited. All these things will be known by each and every person in the society. Now we'll see the first one, objectives of long-term forecasting. First one, like a deciding plant capacity. When you are actively involving in manufacturing of the production or manufacturing of products, you must be know that what is the capacity of the plant. Usually we are going to see per day how many products you are producing, how many employees are working, what is the procurement of material, what are the direct and indirect expenses per day, and all these things will be notified and will be knowing by each and every employee at the organization. So we must have to be think one more thing also, like what is the demand of the product in the market, because blindly we cannot able to manufacture the product. There is no demand in the market, what is the use of manufacturing your products? So we must be know that demand of the products in the market, and accordingly that we need to be manufacturing the products. There is a huge demand in the market. Now, how we need to be decide the plant capacity? 100 percentage. The demand is 70 or 60 percentage only. Accordingly, that we have to be run our company. Second one, manpower. One of the important resource at the organization is manpower. Production factors: land, labor, capital, organization, and technology. So this land, labor, capital, organization, technology, without these help, you cannot able to produce any product. That's why these five we are going to call it as a production factors. When you compare these production factors, all four are dead resources except labor. Labor is a live resource where we can give training, where we can mold to work accordingly our directions. And except this labor, all the resources we can use it in any way. But labor is not like that. They will have their own thinking, their own limitations, and accordingly that they will be working. While you are recruiting the employees to work at the organization, by the time itself you must be know that what kind of employee we are selecting, where we are going to place him, what kind of job specification, description, analysis. So before selecting all these things, we must be. So how we are deciding, depending on the requirements of the organization. There is a vacancy or something we are doing updation or extension, and accordingly that we are going to be recruit the new employees. So this is also to be planned by the concerned departments. What is the departments who are planned, and they will forward to the HR manager for to call for, and they will select the best employee for the suitable job. Now, before we are recruiting the employee, we must be know that whether we are going to selecting the employees for the permanent basis or contract basis, or what kind of employee we are going to be required, what kind of qualification to be required. While you are speak up or selecting the employee, you must be aware of that. Otherwise, that is going to be like a big mess up. Third one, estimating cash inflows. This is all the time one of the important prime resource. We can able to see car, but we cannot able to see petrol and diesel. Equal importance having at the organization also for this cash inflows. How much of cash we are receiving in the name of investment, shares, bank loans, or we are getting advance from various sources, and how effectively we are using this amount. We must be have a complete estimation about the cash flows. Everybody will receive the cash, but how effectively you are using this cash to convert as a products, that is an important point for us. And most of the time what will happen, the finance department will request us whatever material or whatever you want, just request to us, and we are going to buy on behalf of you. All financial transaction we can able to handle. So accordingly that also your work will be minimized, and the entire work will be financial related, will be handled by the finance department. But at the end of the day, when you are going to decide the price of the product, you must be know that for manufacturing of the one product, what is the cost you have been spending. You are manufactured one water bottle in the market, I'm saying like this is for 70 rupees. So how do you say like 70? What is the material cost, what is the labor cost, what is the manufacturing? So everything we need to be calculate and determine, and then we will become for one conclusion that what is the amount we have spent for this bottle, and accordingly the finance department or the management will be deciding the profits or margins or other transportation taxes charges, and finally they will decide the suitable price for the product. The fourth one, determining dividend policy. Of course, this cannot be comes under production department, and generally this dividend policy is going to be comes under managerial decision. The top level management only will decide what rate of dividend we can give it to the equity shareholder, preference shareholder, or what is the rate of interest we have decided to give it to the debentures shareholders at the company. So before they are announcing the dividend to the public or to the shareholders, they will have a meeting. Can we give 20% dividend or 30% dividend, and rest of 80 or 70 percentage of amount what you are doing, we are spending for company expansion, company furthermore development. So we should be in a position that to manage our shareholder satisfaction, and as well as simultaneously we need to be focusing about to develop our institution. That's just a minute. So we need to be discussed very clearly, and then only the dividend policy will be. The next one is planning of long run production. So what is the secret of the companies are running in such a long years, like Tata companies working more than 100 years, the Indian railway companies functioning more than 130 years. So many companies in India, they were functioning more than 100 years. So what is a strong determination factor for them to settle down? That is long run production. Guys, just a minute. Sorry, guys, some technical issue. Okay, we are talking about planning of the long run production. So we have seen that the example of Tata company or railway companies or Reliance or some other companies, they are functioning more than 50 years and 100 years in Indian market. How they are functioning, how they are working in or working with the public, because they were understanding the needs of the public, what are the demands, requirements, needs, and accordingly that they are manufacturing the products. And they themselves also continuously updating, and they are like keep on introducing very innovative things in the existing product, or at the same time depending on the market demands, they are doing renovation also. By doing all these things, what it will happen is the companies are running long run in Indian market. Once the companies were set up very strongly in the market, then ultimately what will happen? They will be having a continuous demand. They will have continuous production in the Indian market. So continuously they are going to earn by the profits. So this is going to be one-to-one interconnected component. Many elements are in around will be having the connectivity. Next one, long run financial requirements. As we are seeing like long term, most of the companies are running successfully in Indian market or in abroad also. I already told you they are satisfied the needs of the people, and accordingly that they are earning the profits through the sales, and financially they were strong. And even though new companies are giving a tug of war or competition to the existing companies, they are in a position to face because they are running in a market by the such a long time, and ultimately they will be getting good profits, and these profits will be using for to face market competition. So financially they will be strong. Or if in case if they required any kind of financial assistance, what these companies will do, they will go to share market and they will issue the shares to the public with the name of IPO or a new shares issues, and through that they will be start earning money. And banks also, they will be welcoming to these companies with the red carpet to get loans, because you are well existed company, and they will see about the financial stamina of the company, and accordingly that they will be settled down in the market. Last one, budgetary control over expenditure. This is not only for one particular department. Every department they must be know that what is the amount of budget we are spending and what is the return we are going to get. It must be known by each and everyone. That is possible only by properly monitoring about financial aspects. Everybody will allot the budget for you for the sake of effective or and successfully you need to manufacturing of your productions. But accordingly you are performing or not. Sometimes what will happen, more than your budget amount you will be having your expenditure. But even though management will have a look on that, why it was happened like that, because of spending extra amount, is there any extra demand, any extra sales, any extra profits, or unnecessarily we are spending extra amount on this. That also to be need and noted by the concerned department heads in the long run. So being a company or a department director or the concerned HOD, you must be know that the company and the department has to be performed in the short run, and as well as in the long run it has to fulfill the both the objectives, so that only you will be strong in the market. Otherwise definitely you will be facing many issues in the market. Okay, guys, in this I have completed the second chapter. Now, I would like to go and to start on third chapter. Third chapter, which is completely talking about production planning and logistics related cost aspects. Before I would like to start this chapter, you must be know that what is meant by production planning. Now we can able to see a small AV on the production planning related. So we have one IIT professor video presentation on production planning. Now we'll just have a look on that, what he's going to explaining about on production planning.
Namaskar friends, welcome to session 26 in our course on operations management. And today is a new day and we are starting the discussion for week 6. As you are well aware that we have divided the course into different weeks and the weekly discussion focus on a particular aspect of operations management. As you are well aware that it is a 12-week course and in every week our focus is on a specific area related to operations management. If you remember, in our previous 5 weeks, we have covered the first week completely dedicated to the basic aspects of operations management, scope, function, objectives of operations management. Week 2 was focused on product design and development. Week 3 on sales forecasting. Week 4 on plant location. Week 5 on plant layout. And week 6 we are starting our discussion on production planning and control. So you can imagine that different weeks we are focusing on a very broad topic. Product design and development, as I have already discussed, can be covered in maybe one semester where we can have 40 lectures related to product design and development. Similarly, this production planning and control is also a very, we can say, exhaustive topic. Usually it is covered in the UG and the PG level, and one complete course, 3 credit or 4 credit course is dedicated for discussing topics related to production planning and control. And somewhere in some colleges, universities, institutes, it is covered as a core course for mechanical engineering students. So it will be difficult for us to cover all aspects of production planning and control, but certainly we would like to understand some basic tools which will help us to solve this problem of production planning as well as control. So basically if we go by the topic production planning and control, you can see that there are majorly 3 words in this topic: production, planning and control. So let us treat these 3 words independently first, and then we will combine the meaning of these 3 words together, or we will try to understand that what we are going to study, what are the basic objectives of production planning and control. So first word is production, in which we convert the raw material using any conversion process, which can be a chemical, physical or a mechanical process, into a final product. For example, the chair on which we sit has a raw material, it can be a wood or a metallic raw material. Then there is a conversion process, which can be maybe cutting, welding in case of metals, or in case of wood it can be turning of wood or cutting of wood, and then maybe joints of wood can be made, and then finally we get our end or tangible product, that is a chair. So basically there is a raw material, then there is a conversion process, and finally there is a product. So that is basically the definition of production, wherein we convert the raw materials using any conversion process into the final product. The second is planning. So planning word refers to decision making, getting ourselves prepared for any future event. That basically is the literal meaning of planning that I understand, that we have to get ourselves prepared, or we have to prepare ourselves, our resources, our manpower, our machines for the impending manufacturing or production that we want to carry out. So planning is usually done based on the demand in the market, and we have already covered one topic which is related to sales forecasting. So once we have forecasted the demand, we can do the planning activity accordingly. So planning is basically a decision making process in which we prepare ourselves for the future events. The third thing is the control. Now in production we know the process, planning we have already done based on the demand, and then we have to finally exercise a control that whatever we have planned, whether the things or the activities or the jobs are being performed as per the plan or not. If we are digressing from the path that we have planned, then there has to be certain control. If we are overproducing, we have to slow down. If we are underproducing, maybe suppose 500 products are required in a week and we are producing only 300. So what we need to do? We need to pull up our socks. We need to rush. We need to expedite the production so that we are able to meet the monthly target of suppose 2000 products. So 500 products per week multiplied by 4 weeks in a month. So approximately 2000 we have to prepare. So if we are lacking in week 1, we have 3 more weeks to speed up and expedite and achieve our monthly target. So that matching up of the planned progress and the actual progress is what we call as the control. So the progress cannot be always in terms of number of products, it can be in different aspects. We can exercise control over time also, that whatever by that time, suppose a particular activity must have been completed. For example, suppose we are making a house or constructing a house. So we have planned that in 6 months this must be the progress, that is the planning activity. Once we control, we will see what is the actual progress in the 6 months. If we are lacking behind, we will try to expedite the construction activity so that we are able to make the house in a year or 9 months that we have planned. So I think I have been able to put across my thoughts related to production, planning and control. Now from operations management point of view, our production, already we know that from raw material to the end product we have to convert it using different processes, that is production. Planning, already all of you know. Control also you know. From operations management point of view, our focus will be to make optimal utilization of time, resources. Resources can be in terms of materials, in terms of manpower, as well as the plant facilities, as well as the different inputs that go into the operations. We have to optimally utilize these inputs in order to meet our target. Our target in case of operations management is to achieve the desired quantity of material in desired quality at appropriate time and at appropriate or competitive cost. So these 4 words I have been using again and again: quality, quantity, time and cost. So our planning that will help us to achieve these 4 objectives, that is high quality, adequate number of quantity, low price or maybe competitive cost, as well as the right time. So these 4 targets if we have to achieve, we have to plan the things properly, because sometimes we see, let us take a lively example or example related to our lives. We go to a tailor and suppose we have given our clothes for stitching, and he has given us one time that that clothes will be delivered on 31st of August 2017. We go to him, he gives us the clothes nicely stitched, we will be very happy with that tailor. On the contrary, if we go to another tailor who delays the, we can say, delivery of our stitched clothes, we will not be that happy with that tailor. So there are two maybe production houses. With one we are very happy, with other one we are not happy. As a customer, we want to be delivered or we want to be serviced in the time that has been contracted between us and the vendor. Now the problem is at the back end. X vendor may have got maybe number of orders, but he has planned his
Sir,
manufacturing, or in this
sir,
case stitching, in such a way that all orders are delivered on time. On the other hand, the planning activity is not that well planned, or we can say well managed.
Yes, please.
Mukesh want to join the meet, sir. Please admit him.
Mukesh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Managed, and therefore he is maybe delaying, or sometimes there are other issues related to that. So the planning will always help an organization to grow, to get more customers, and to get a brand value for itself. So many times people say that planning is something which is related to common sense, so there is no scientific tools which can help us in planning. But I, as a maybe teacher of operations management or as a mechanical engineer, I feel that if we make use of the tools that are available with us for the planning activity, we are certainly going to be better than an organization which is not at all adopting the production planning and control. So with this introduction, which is slightly longer than usually I give, but today is the starting point of the week that is going to focus on production planning and control. So therefore I have given a slightly longer introduction so that the basic concept of production planning and control is clear to all of you. So we will cover different tools and techniques that are used for production planning and control. But in today's class, our focus will be to understand that what are the functions and objectives of production planning and control, as well as we will see that what type of planning activity is done in any organization, or what are the levels of planning that we are going to see in today's session. So quickly let us see the definition of production planning and control. So production planning and control is the organization and planning of the manufacturing process. So as I have already told, we have a word production in production planning and control. So PPC usually is focused on the management aspects of our manufacturing activity. Production planning involves management decisions on resources that the firm will require for its manufacturing operations, and the selection of these resources to produce the desired goods at the appropriate time and at the least possible cost. Already I have highlighted in the introduction these words, that it is the judicious utilization of the resources in order to meet the desired quality standards, in order to meet the quantity levels desired, as well as to focus on the cost and the time aspects also. So basically all the four major objectives of operations management have to be considered when we are understanding or trying to do our production planning and control activity. So the similar objectives are there for PPC also. As per Charles A. Coipe, production planning and control is the coordination of series of functions according to a plan which will economically utilize the plant facilities and regulate the orderly movement of goods through the entire manufacturing cycle, from the procurement of raw materials to the shipping of finished goods at a predetermined rate. So here again, as per the definition, we can see that the production planning and control, the major focus is the management of the operations, starting from the procurement of the raw material to the dispatch of the finished product. So we have to see that how the product will move in the organization, what will be the sequence of operations that will be followed, and how the materials will be procured, how the materials will be managed. So all that we can say will fall under the broad umbrella of production planning and control. Now, what are the objectives of PPC? So maybe many objectives I have already explained. One or two which may have been left in the discussion by now will be covered here. So objectives of PPC include to determine the requirements of man, material and equipment. As I have already told, based on the customer's demand, we have to do the planning activity. So we will see that what is the requirement of machines, what is the requirement of men, what is the requirement of material. So all that decisions will be taken during the production planning and control activity. Arranging production schedules according to the needs of the market or the marketing demand. So there will be some demand, so we have to do the back calculation. For example, the company has entered into a contract agreement with a customer that we will be able to supply X amount of products by 31st of December. So 31st December now is the deadline, and today we have entered into agreement. So we will see that how many months are available with us, how we have to work out a schedule so that we are able to finish the production of the products by maybe 27th or 26th or maybe 25th of December. So we have to arrange the production schedule, that also comes under the production planning activity only. Arranging various inputs at right time and in right quantity to ensure maximum utilization of all the resources, to maintain optimum level of inventory which is related to materials management, to maintain flexibility in manufacturing operations, coordinate between labor and machines and various supporting departments. So overall, if you see, the major objective is the best or maybe the most optimal planning of our resources in order to meet the customer's demand. So the focus area of production planning and control is right from the procurement of the materials to the shipping or shipment of the final product. So the complete management of the operations within maybe the premises of the organization or within the shop floor falls under the production planning and control. Now, functions of PPC is a very good diagram taken from a book by M. Telsang. You can see there are few pre-planning activities which we have, some of them we have already covered. On your screen you can see product design. So we have already covered 1 week discussion on product design. Then there is forecasting of demand, that also we have already covered. Workstation design is something which is not maybe being covered in this course on operations management. Then process design, we will be covering the process planning part. Flow design, also the layout part, already we have covered in the last week. So pre-planning activities already we have covered. We have covered product design and development, we have covered sales forecasting, we have covered layout. So we have covered maybe the work system design, we are not currently covering in this course. So you have to do first pre-planning, which also falls under the PPC, and then the planning activity. So planning activity means planning for the 4 M's. So M's basically can be man, material, machine and money. So you have planning the different resources. Then we have to plan the routing, that is the process planning. In our next session our focus will be on process planning, that is maybe the routing. For example, a product requires 6 different operations, so we have to identify the route, that how the product will flow, and accordingly we have to see that what is the layout that we have planned. In the previous week, if you remember, we have seen the various flow lines. We can have a S flow line or process planning. We have to plan the route, that is the sequence of operations for a particular product. Scheduling, we have already covered certain things here. So here currently what we have not covered is the
So you would have come across in this video presentation, and they were talking about the fundamentals of what is this production planning and how this was functioning. So before I would like to continue about this video presentation, so what I feel like I would like to share with you the PPT, like an introduction about the production planning techniques. And so that after this introduction of this PPT, we'll continue the video presentation. So as we have seen that, so in this class, we are going to handle and continue on that the production planning and also including that logistics cost. So first of all, we must be know that what is this production planning and why we are forced to follow the production planning techniques at the workstation. Every department they should be have different sort of missions, forecasting and objectives for furthermore development. Here also the forecasting we have seen that earlier in two ways: short term forecasting, long term forecasting. Within a year, how you would like to see your company in the long run, where you want to stand in the market, will be determining these aggregate plannings. Now, while you are talking about the elements, when we need to prepare a proper planning system, right time, right place, right degree of the competency basis, you should be required an effective planning. Everybody can make the plan, but that is not so important. The planning you need to be execute. Because of executing your planning, that has to benefit to the whole organization and as well as the buyers or the consumers whoever to buy your products, and they should also to be benefited. Now here I would like to share with you a definition which was given by Kimball definition. So Professor Kimball also was stating like the operations which is going to be involved three important things. That is, what work shall be done, how to do this particular work, and when this work is going to be completed. Before you are going to start any kind of work, you should be know very clearly why are you doing, what is the benefit for the company. You should be in a position to understanding first. Once you understand, then automatically people will follow you. And you should be in a position of to explain to the people, if I am following this, then definitely this is the benefit. Now the next question, if you are saying like I'm going to prepare this, then they will ask you how this planning will be worked out. For that, what kind of strategies you are having. So when it is going to be complete. So generally these kind of questions will be arising like when you are preparing or when you have any kind of project proposals. The moment you are going to start the project proposals, people will ask you, so what is your topic? That means what kind of problem you are going to identify and you are going to be discuss. And how you are going to complete the work, to whom you are going to meet and what kind of discussion you will be having with the people and what kind of inputs you are going to get. And when are you going to complete? Within some sort of stipulated period, you need to complete the work. Otherwise, it is going to be called as an outdated work. Now, planning also immediate. A person met an accident, immediately we need to give first aid facility. So the planning will be give that a toxic, the medicine for boost up of your objectivities and the organizations. Now, in the next slide, which is going to be deal and talking about production planning control. How this production planning is functioning, how this is working. The production planning, which is going to be basically depending on two important elements, which is going to be called as first two factors as a planning elements. Next two elements are which is going to called as a control. So what is the first two? Routing, scheduling. Routing and scheduling are the planning elements. Dispatching and follow-up are called as a controlling elements. Now, out of the box, you have a company. So in company, what you will do? You will appointing some sort of employees. What employees will do? You have assigned a work for them, and accordingly that they will be working. Now, what you are supposed to do at the organization that was already designed and created, and you need to follow that work. And many people, what they will do, the same work they will do in a creative way. How I can do the same work in a different way, so that I can able to get more advantage from the market. We are giving you the basic directions, and if you are good enough on that domain, you may go for the next level development also. Education major objectivity is to give the or to share the knowledge. By using this knowledge, how you are empowered, what did you gain, and what did you learn from the society, and accordingly that you need to acquire some more knowledge from the society. The basic inputs only will be given by the education. Now the work culture also, even you are working in a smaller company or a small scale industry or in an international company, they will give you the basic knowledge, but how you are using this basic knowledge to take your work in the next level is going to be important. So routing also will be giving that the basic direction of how you need to start your work. The routing once got over, you will go for the next level, that is going to be called as a scheduling. So most of the people, what they will do, they will perform their duties by perfectly, and as well as they will schedule some more milestones. Important task also they need to be completed by within a year or within a 3 years, which is really benefit to the company. Like that also, they will prepare schedules. So, for the sake of schedule, they won't be work. They will perform their regular duties, and as well as when the schedule comes to them or particular due date, and they will be working some sort of additional efforts to meet or fulfillment of the company and as well as industry demand. So, we need to have routing schedule as a planning. The next one is like a dispatching. Whatever routine, whatever schedule, whatever plan you have been prepared, that we need to see in the name of output, physical form of output. The physical form of output is like a products or by the services. Now, how you have been produced, and based on that we are trying to dispatch to the public. Now example, you can see like a last 1 year we are suffering with the COVID. Now when you are suffering with the COVID, and many companies, pharma companies are, they were started to do to find out the vaccine for this. Now in India at present we are using Serum Institute COVID Shield, so which is going to be an output of the 1 year research. So whatever the work or schedule or planning we have been prepared, and that has to be materialized, and that should be reached to the public. So while you are dispatching to the people, and they will be see restrictions, this is suitable for my body, or this is really a good medicine or not, they will do all the experiments, and finally that is going to be dispatched to the public. Once the dispatching is over, the next step is the follow-up. What is the reaction of the human body after taking this vaccination first and second dose? Now, when come to the subject, now the companies also they will have their regular routine process about the their works, and also they will prepare the schedule for the effectively how to complete their work. So once the products are produced and that will be dispatched to the, or that will be temporarily storing at the warehouse or by the godowns, and then which is going to be dispatched to the wholesalers or whoever the concerned persons required about all these products, they will forward to them. At last they will do the follow-up. So are they happy about to have our products or not, or is that required any kind of uh, what we say, is there required any kind of modification suggestions are there in the market that we can able to see. So in the PPT in the down you can find out the YouTube link, the production planning control related we have a video, and this we'll see later. Okay, before I would like to continue about this production planning history, we'll continue that the earlier video. So the Inter Pradeep, so he's nicely explaining about the concepts of production planning and controlling aspect. Now we'll continue that according to his point of what he want to convey about the production planning furthermore.
Planning of resources, that is man, material, and 4 M's: man, material, maybe machine, and the money. Then the process planning part we have not covered, we will be covering in this week. Scheduling is related to time, planning of the time, and planning of time is very important. Scheduling is very important because the end date is already fixed as per the contract agreement with the customer. So we have to meet the time deadlines or the time domain or time scale. So therefore we have to plan, or we have to schedule our activities accordingly, schedule our various jobs that are required to complete the product accordingly. Similarly, we have to estimate based on the time schedule. Once we know the route, that what is the sequence of operations, next is we know now each operation how much time it will take, that will be covered under scheduling. We have to schedule our operations. Finally, we have to estimate that in order to meet the deadline, how many such machines will be required, do we need to put additional manpower in order to meet the target. So that estimation will be done based on the time calculations. So once we are ready, so the pre-planning and planning part has made us ready for taking the production or for undertaking the production. We know that we have done the product design, we have done the forecasting, we know the sequence of operations, we know the time required for each operation, we have estimated the number of manpower required or number of men required to complete the operation. So our time is fixed, man is fixed, machine is fixed. So all our planning activity is now complete. Then the basically control part comes into picture, and the control is related to dispatching. So all the plans in terms of maybe the route sheets or route cards and with all the details will be dispatched, they will be sent to the production department, and finally there will be inspection, that is basically to match the actual progress with the planned progress, and suppose we are lacking, we need to expedite our work so that we are able to meet the timeline. And finally we will evaluate once we have maybe submitted the product or the consignment to the customer, we will try to evaluate that why do we need to expedite, what were the problems in the overall chain, where were the problems, how those problems can be tackled, so that in the next production cycle we do not face the similar problem. So there will be evaluation at the end of expediting, and finally whatever problems are located in the evaluation stage, feedback will be given to pre-planning and the planning functions of production planning and control. So I think this diagram is very important from the point of view of maybe putting the different beads that we are covering into the single thread and making a mala out of it. So basically we have seen that all topics are interrelated. We have already covered product design, we have already covered forecasting. So once all this is known to us, we have already seen plant location and plant layout. So we know that what we want to produce, how much we want to produce, where it will be produced. The layout has already been finalized, so you know the factory has already been laid out, and now you have to plan for the next stage, that is man, material, machines, and then you have to do the how the process will be designed, then you have to see how many number of people will be working on that, then you have to do the control that when the actual production is taking place, how you are doing, whether you are able to match up to the planned progress or you are lacking behind. If you are lacking behind, you need to expedite, and if you need to expedite, you need to evaluate that what are the problems with the planned progress, or what is the problem with the planning activity, and where do we need to plug the holes so that the expediting function need not be called for during our production process. So this is an important diagram, and I believe that all learners must focus on this diagram and try to understand the various functions of production planning and control. So where you can see, I think everything I have already explained. This is just for you. So the planning is focused on materials, machines, equipment, methods, process planning, estimating, loading and scheduling, and control is focused on dispatching, expediting, inspection, evaluating and inventory control. Inventory control is again related to the control of the materials. Now coming on to the levels of production planning and control. Now we know that we have to manage our operations at the shop floor, starting from the procurement of the raw material to the final delivery of the finished product. So there are different levels of planning. So the topmost level of planning is the strategic planning, which is also called the long range planning. So it is the process of thinking through the organization's current mission and environment and setting a guide for future decisions and results. It is done by the top level management. So strategic planning will focus on the long term, maybe future of the organization. It is not going to focus on day-to-day routine or the maybe operational level of planning. It will do the strategic planning, that is a long range planning. So they may be focusing on the what is going to be the new technology in the next 5 years, or they will like to see that which other product segment the company must focus on in the next maybe 5 to 10 years time. So the top level planning will be related to the procurement of some new technology or some new machines, or the shift in the focus area of the organization. So therefore it is a long range planning. It is not an immediate planning that today we have decided to change a machine and tomorrow we will change the machine. It will focus on the development of technology which will help the organization to improve its productivity, efficiency and effectiveness, and it will focus on a long time horizon. Second level of planning will be the tactical planning, and the tactical planning is the intermediate.
And one more problem also, like the technology is continuously updating. Once you are buying one machinery, after 6 months or 7 months or 1 year, you will get another technology as a machinery. Again, we need to spend lakhs and crores of rupees. So mostly companies, what they will do, like so in the existing technology, they will continue for certain period. If it is a well established companies, means what they will do, they will update themselves, and the existing machinery they will sell to the next level of companies. For example, international like MNC company, they will sell to the national wide companies, national to state, state to local. So like that, the machinery will be going for the downtrend or in the down, or who is having a lesser rate of production, and those companies will be widely using these kind of machineries.
Range planning. So it is done over an intermediate term or medium range time horizon for middle level management. Maybe there are other terms also used for tactical planning. Some people call it as the corporate level planning also. So the top level planning is the strategic planning, which is a long term planning. Then you have a tactical planning, which is a corporate level planning, which is done for an intermediate period of time. Sometime we call the middle range or medium range planning as the aggregate production planning, APP also, and we will discuss aggregate production planning in our maybe discussion during this week only. So our focus then will be on 1 year or a 2-year basis, and we will try to utilize our resources or our manufacturing resources in the best manner or in the most optimal manner, so that we are able to get more and more profit for our organization. So we will see that what is the overall demand, and then how to meet that demand in the best possible manner, so that the overall profit of the organization increases. So the middle level planning or the intermediate range planning, that is for a year or two, will focus on the maybe the most optimal utilization of the resources. So it will basically be executing the decisions which have already been taken by the top level. The top level has taken a decision, all other maybe detailed or the detailing of those decisions will be done at the tactical or the corporate level. And the last level or the lowest level of planning is the operational planning, or it is a short range planning. It is done over a short range time span. It is developed by the low level management. It is concerned with utilization of existing facilities rather than creation of new facilities. Now creation of new facilities will be taken care at the top level management only, or at the strategic level.
That's why we are called this as a strategic management. So top level management only will be considered as the ultimate decision makers, and they will discuss about the sales profits, and they will talk about the furthermore developments or any changes they are planning for the further development of the institution we don't know, and they will discuss, and accordingly that they will do different renovations or innovative changes also will be done at the plant location. Now I have another short video which is going to be deal and talking on that what are the important elements are there or it should be required for an effective way of to preparing this production planning control. So which is going to be talking about purely on the fundamentals like routing, scheduling, and how the whole schedule of production, how it is functioning, and what are the controlling elements we can able to see in this small video.
Important to note that production plan is the first and the foremost element of production planning and control. Planning refers to deciding in advance what is to be done in future. A separate planning department is established in the organization which is responsible for the preparation of policies and plans with regard to production to be undertaken in due course. The planning department prepares various charts, manuals, production budgets, etc., on the basis of information received from management. These plans and charts or production budgets are given practical shape by carrying various elements under production control. If production planning is defective, production control is bound to be adversely affected. For achieving the production targets, production planning provides sound basis for production control. One needs to remember that production plans are prepared in advance at top level, whereas production control is exercised at machine shop floor, bottom level, where actual production is taking place. Some important elements of production planning and control have been depicted as we can see in this figure. The important elements may be listed as following. Number 1. Materials. Planning for procurement of raw material, component and spare parts in the right quantities and specifications at the right time from the right source at the right place. Purchasing, storage, inventory control, standardization, variety reduction, value analysis and inspection are the other activities associated with material. Number 2, method. Choosing the best method of processing from several alternatives. It also includes determining the best sequence of operations, process plan, and planning for tooling, jigs and fixtures etc. Number 3. Machines and equipment. Manufacturing methods are related to production facilities available in production systems. It involves facilities planning, capacity planning, allocations, and utilization of plant and equipment, machines etc. Number 4. Manpower. Planning for manpower, labor and managerial levels, having appropriate skills and expertise. Element number 5. Routing. Determining the flow of work material handling in the plant, and sequence of operations or processing steps. This is related to consideration of appropriate shop layout, plant layout, temporary storage location for raw materials, component and semi-finished goods, and of materials handling system. Now, when we are talking about routing, another important term that comes into context is route sheet. A route sheet is a document providing information and instructions for converting the raw material in finished part or product. It defines each step of the production operations and lay down the precise path or route through which the product will flow during the conversion process. Route sheet contains following information: the operation required at the desired sequence, machines or equipment to be used for each operations, estimated set-up time and operation time per piece, tools, jigs, and fixtures required for operations, detailed drawings of the part, sub-assemblies and final assemblies, specification, dimensions, tolerances, surface finishes and quality standard to be achieved, specification of raw material to be used, speed, feed etc. to be used in machines, tools for operations to be carried on, inspection procedure and metrology tools required for inspection, packing and handling instructions during movement of parts and sub-assemblies through the operation stages. Element number 6, estimating. Establishing operation times leading to fixations of performance standards both for worker and machines. Estimating involves deciding the quantity of the product which needs to be produced and cost involved in it on the basis of sale forecast. Estimating manpower, machine capacity and material required meeting the planned production targets are like the key activities before budgeting for resources. Number 7, loading. Machine loading is the process of converting operation schedule into practices in conjunctions with routing. Machine loading is the process assigning specific jobs to machines, men, or work centers based on relative priorities and capacity utilization. Loading ensures maximum possible utilization of productive facilities and avoid bottleneck in production. It's important to either overloading or underloading the facilities, work centers or machines to ensure maximum utilization of resources. Element number 8, scheduling. Scheduling ensure that parts and sub-assemblies and finished goods are completed as per required delivery dates. It provides a timetable for manufacturing activities. So, what are the purposes of scheduling? We need scheduling to prevent unbalanced use of time among work and centers and department, and to utilize labor such a way that output is produced within established lead time or cycle time so as to deliver the products on time and complete production in minimum total cost. Then comes element number 9, dispatching. This is concerned with the execution of the planning functions. It gives necessary authority to start a particular work which has already planned under routing and scheduling functions. Dispatching is release of orders and instructions for starting of production in accordance with routing sheet and scheduling charts. Number 10, inspection. This function is related to maintenance of quality in production and of evaluating the efficiency of the processes, methods and labor so that improvement can be made to achieve the quality standards set by product design. Number 11, evaluating. The objective of evaluating is to improve performance. Performance of machines, processes and labor is evaluated to improve the same. And finally, element number 12, cost control. Manufacturing cost is controlled by wastage reduction, value analysis, inventory control and efficient utilization of all resources.
So we have seen that in this video, she was also talking about the fundamental elements like one hand we are having an accelerator and another leg we are having the brake. So every organization will have planning and as such as will have by the controlling elements also. Both are very, very important for effective utilization and proper functioning of the organization.